I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Lee, 20 years you've been in this field. Looking at your resume, Medical College of Wisconsin, which I appreciate as a UW graduate myself. PhD in biochemistry, trained at Harvard Medical School, Boston Children's Hospital. Pretty impressive. You know what you're talking about, don't you?
I believe I do.
Yeah, I do too. And you said in your testimony, we do not need fetal body parts from aborted babies to achieve future scientific and medical advancements. You stand by what you said in your testimony, right?
I do.
And you also said after 100 years of research, directly to where the chairman was with Dr. Temple, you said after over 100 years of research, no therapies have been discovered or developed that require aborted fetal tissue. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And yet, taxpayers are given money paying for this fetal tissue every single year. Is that true?
That's true.
Let's start with Planned Parenthood. You know how much money Planned Parenthood gets from taxpayers in a year's time? Do you happen to know?
They get about $500 million.
It is about $500 million. Mm-hmm. Several million directly, and then some of that, of course, is Medicaid funding as well. How much is the government paying for fetal tissue research?
Approximately $100 million.
$100 million a year we're paying for fetal tissue research, and how much of that is involved with actual experimentation on the fetal tissue?
20 million. Approximately 20 million if you look at NIH contracts.
About 20 million, okay. And that's NIH, that's not HHI, that's NIH.
That's correct.
Okay. Is some of that 100 million, some of that 20 million, is some of it actually used to purchase the fetal tissue?
That money is going to be used to purchase the fetal tissue.
And I think with Mr. Congressman Heiss earlier, you said it's not a direct purchase though, right?
It's
In other
not.
words, so let me just, I just want to understand it and make it as simple terms as we can. Planned Parenthood is taking the life of unborn children. Planned Parenthood then, or other abortion providers, sell the tissue to some company. Mm-hmm. And then the government then buys it from that company. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
And who are some of those companies? I think you mentioned some names in your...
A couple of them are ABR and Stem Cell Express.
ABR and Stem Cell Express. Any chance those companies were involved? There's some somewhat now famous videos that Planned Parenthood had. They didn't have, but they were about them a few years ago. Stem Cell Express and ABR, were they involved in any of those videos of Planned Parenthood a few years ago that somewhat now well known?
They are. They were absolutely, they were shown, their question as to whether there was profit actually being made, and because there were actual records that they were only paying approximately $60 to Planned Parenthood or other abortion providers to get the fetus, and then they would turn it around and then they would sell it to investigators and make much more money than that.
So I just want to be clear again. So those videos that we saw that we're all repulsed by, that were disgusting, all kinds of this cavalier attitude that people at Planned Parenthood were talking about, when they were doing that, talking in those transactions, it was with those companies you just said, Stem Express and ABR?
Yes.
Okay. So again, here's how it works. Taxpayer dollars, our constituents' tax money is going to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood then provides abortion services. When they then sell fetal tissue to Stem Express, ABR, and companies like those who were involved in those videos that we saw, and then the government then takes taxpayer dollars and buys the fetal tissue from those companies.
That's correct.
To do research that has not in 100 years provided anything, what was your words? In over 100 years, no therapies have been discovered or developed that require aborted fetal tissue.
That's correct.
And all we're asking is, let's go with the alternatives, which you have said are actually better?
That's correct.
Well, that's as simple as it gets, right?
Yes, it does.
I mean, you can't make it any plainer than that. Taxpayers are paying on the front end for something that many of the folks I get the privilege of representing just think is absolutely wrong, giving money to Planned Parenthood, which is taking the life of unborn kids, and then they're paying on the back end for the very tissue that was used in a practice that they don't approve of to get results that can be achieved with alternatives. And according to your 20 years in this field, after 100 years of this kind of research, no discoveries, no therapies have been discovered or developed that require the actual use of fetal tissue.
That's correct.
Well, this is pretty simple.
It is.
I mean, shoot, Chairman, we can stop. We got it right here. I'm sure there are other people who have questions, but that is as plain as it gets,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
Taxpayers, something they don't like, both on the front end and back end, are paying for it, and we do not need the fetal body parts from aborted babies to achieve scientific and medical achievements because we have alternatives that can do it.
That's right.
I'm glad you came, Dr. Lee, and more importantly, I appreciate the work you've done now for over 20 years in this area. Thank you.